Okay, so I have this container. This is a plastic container. And one of the things we like to use these at the restaurant because it protects your knife. And so this is a great way. I use a serrated knife sometimes with corn, and we're just going to come right down, and you're going to cut the corn right into the container.
I love that, so it catches everything.
Yes, and you don't have to worry about really, I mean, it's still not great for your knife, but it's a lot better than doing it on a piece of metal
or glass,
sometimes people do it on the back of the bowl. So if you want to go ahead and knock that stuff out. Wow.
She's doing a great job.
Right.
This corn is so fresh.
Yeah.
All right, so we've added the corn here. I'm just going to take this a little bit more corn here and add it. Next, I'm going to have you clean a little bit of chanterelles here.
These are beautiful.
So these are Pennsylvania chanterelles, which are really nice, so locally foraged. And so one of the things that we'll do is, usually when we get them in, we'll actually just cut the stems off. And then you can kind of feel it's a little woody there. All right, so basically we're going to come in and just take your paring knife and kind of peel those down. All right, and then once you have them peeled, basically the best way to do it is just split them.
Break them up.
All right, and they just kind of split right up. All right, so if you want to go ahead and start there.
This would not be a Lee Chizmar dish without mushrooms.
Of course, I almost forgot them, and I was like, wait a minute, we're missing something. All right, so as we're sauteing the corn, I'm going to go ahead and start steaming the clams here. So I have a little of our lobster dashi here. So, and I usually use a nice lid.
It smells incredible too. It smells like the best lobster bisque I've ever had.
So as we add the clams to it, the clams also are going to add a lot of their natural juices and flavors to this, which is just going to fortify it and make it taste even better. All right. So we'll drop those guys in.
Where do you get your clams from? Are they semi-local to Pennsylvania?
No, well, most of our seafood comes from Massachusetts.
Okay.
Or West Coast. You know, there's a lot of big fisheries up there that we get stuff in. And we try to do 100% sustainable.
The most important thing.
Yes, for sure. Okay, so next let's add, I have some potatoes.
I'm going to reach over you and grab these. Thank you.
And these are just roasted fingerling potatoes. We did a little bit of garlic, thyme, a little bit of oil, and roasted them 350 degrees. It usually takes anywhere from 15 to 30 minutes.
Okay.
That's one of the things, you know, potatoes have different starch contents, sugar contents. So the time that you roast them, it's different. Yeah. So usually we just use a knife, stick it in, and when you lift it up and the potato falls off, it's good. Knife tender.
All right.
All right, so we'll add that there. I'm going to add some garlic here. Nicole, if you want to just add some julienne white onions to the...
Oh, thank you. To the pan with the corn?
Yeah, maybe like
all
a quarter.
Of them,
yeah,
not that much?
A little bit more. And then I also have some leeks left over that we're going to go ahead and add. All right. All right, so I'm just going to toss this. And I think one of the things that I try to do too as I'm cooking, I want to season as I go. And that way you don't have to add too much. It helps bring, the salt helps bring the flavor out and the moisture from your ingredients. All right, so this was fantastic.
Great job.
Next, if we were at home, basically what we do is wash these.
Okay.
What I like to do with mushrooms, they shouldn't spend a lot of time in cold water. There are some farm-raised mushrooms that you don't have to wash. There are a few foraged mushrooms that people recommend that you don't wash. Usually with wild mushrooms, I always wash them.
Yeah.
And so what I do is I'd fill up cold water. You drop them in the cold water, rinse them around very quickly, and pull them out, usually onto a paper towel to dry as fast as you can. But you don't want to let them sit in the water because they will soak up a lot of the water and lose some of their flavor.
What exactly do you mean by foraged?
So these were actually foraged in our local forests.
Oh,
all right? So you have cultivated mushrooms,
Okay.
which are oyster mushrooms, hen of the woods. Both oysters and hen of the woods can also be foraged.
Oh, okay.
But then traditionally, like your creminis and white button mushrooms are cultivated. And then there's a huge array of mushrooms out there.
Wow.
And that's one of the things I always tell people, you know, when they say, I don't like mushrooms.
Yeah.
I mean, there are so many different
right.
mushrooms.
Yeah.
It's a pretty broad statement. So we're going to go ahead and saute this up. All right, next I'm going to have you clean some tomatoes. And this is a little trick that we'll do in the restaurant. Basically, I like to make a little fence for my tomatoes. And this helps you kind of keep them all together so you're not reaching and cutting. From here, you're just going to take the stems off. And then you can kind of roll them out and slice. Roll them out and slice so there's no wasted motion.
Okay.
All right, So give that a try. I'll pull some of these guys off.
These tomatoes are beautiful, by the way. They look like they came right out of your garden.
Well, they came right out of one of our local farmers' gardens,
Nice.
which are really nice. So I've added our Tuscan kale to this. I'm going to take a little bit of lemon juice here. And I like to do a little sherry vinegar with this. And that's actually something, too, that I'm going to add back to the broth.
Nice.
I think sherry vinegar goes really great with lobster. Of course, lemon. I'm coming over. So this is some of our lobster dashi broth. I'm just going to add this to the set. All right.
Yum.
Now we can take a look at our clams. Ooh, they're steaming up very nicely.
Yum.
All
I
right.
love clams.
All right. So I'm just going to toss this carefully. Maybe I'll use a spoon.
So beautiful, all the colors.
It really
Yeah,
is.
it's really.
Everything's
really
always
nice.
so earthy that you do. I love that.
Well, thank
You have a very specific style that you always bring to the table when you're
Thank you
here.
very
That's a
much.
good thing. I mean that as a compliment.
Well, awesome. All right, so my clams are good. So I'm just going to kind of turn this guy off. And I want some of this liquid in here too.
Because now that clam juice is all in there.
Yes. All right. So, and with the clams, if you have something that doesn't open up, you don't use it. 'Cause
Okay.
it usually means it's dead. But it looks like we have all really great clams in there. They've all opened up. So let's go ahead and give this a stir here. All right. Why don't you go ahead, Dr. Chen, and add some parsley there. And then I would probably add a quarter of the tomatoes actually to the broth. Yeah, just kind of sprinkle it around. All right. So we're coming back over. So from our lobster, we have
Add it to
some of
here?
the meat. Yep, just probably a quarter. And we'll use the rest for garnish. All right.
So you're working with all claw meat, or you have
So
some
I
tail
have
in there
I have
too?
2 claws and
Okay.
2 tails. And this actually has a little bit of the cartilage from the claw in it, so I want to
Gotta be
take that
careful
out.
of that.
Yeah. And I think that this is really nice if we do some nice bigger pieces. That guy's good. So you just kind of come in here so people can really see what they're eating. All right.
I love lobster. It's definitely one of my favorite types of seafood.
All right. Nice big chunks. All right. And then we're going to add this right to it.
Oh, beautiful.
All right. And let's go ahead and just kind of give this a stir here. All right. And I'll leave that
Smells
right there.
incredible in here.